Hey everyone, it's Clint. I don't know if I just can't focus. I'm not sure what the deal is, what gives. This is my third attempt at this video, for crying out loud. Bear with me. I'm going to try not to and on, stutter and stuff. Before we get into the video though, Fatal is on Indiegogo right now. This is about an intergalactic exterminator, and for a price, he will go to your planet and he will take out the alien infestation that is plaguing your planet. It's a really, really fun story. The best artwork right now on Indiegogo. Prove me wrong. Let's fight about it. I'm sure. No, seriously though, Charlie Snogans is amazing. You can see this complete page here. Everyone is pulling out their best work. You got Eric Weathers. I just told him to show off on this page, and that's exactly what he did. Fantastic lettering, fantastic writing, if I do say so myself. Complete story arc all on this one page. So that'll give you sort of a sample. And then there's tons more artwork to check out. This book is fantastic. If you've already backed it, check out the head sketch, check out the limited prints. And right now I'm working with a supplier to try and get some t-shirts posted on here. So appreciate everyone for backing it. If you haven't, check it out. All right. So Jim Zub is a comic book writer. He's also a teacher, and he'll often go on these big long teaching sessions on Twitter, and he'll post a big, thread, I guess, whatever we're going to call it. It was this long. I'm not going to go over all of this, but basically what he said is that 2019 was a really good year for him, and he expected 2020 to be just as good. And so they had, plans to put aside money and be saving for retirement. Now that's all well and good. The problem is that you cannot count on the next year always being better than the last, or even as good as the last. It always changes. I hear people say about this about crowdfunding too, that it's only going to always get better. I'm sorry, but that should not be ever how you think about crowdfunding. You should plan on, the fact that it is a risk. You're taking a risk each and every time you make a book. I think honestly, it's an acceptable risk to take, but understand that there's nothing that is set in stone. You are owed nothing. And I think that makes for a nice, healthy tension that'll keep you working at your best and thinking for the future. All right. So having said that, he kind of goes into freelancer life and what it would look like. He says, plan for the worst, hope for the best. Our minimum living expenses budget assumes a steady freelance income that's less than half of our current reality. That's pretty smart. That gave us a huge buffer in case my career hit the skids for whatever reason. And in this case, whatever was COVID. Yeah, who would have had expected the economy to shut down all over the world? Okay, so here is where he gets into, I think, some of the points that I have been making, that many others have been making over the past week, with all of the ring over the Kickstarter campaign that Keanu Reeves is writing for. Everyone was upset because they saw somebody being successful. Remember a couple months ago, everyone was upset if you were crowdfunding at all in the year 2020 because it wasn't a good look. Now it's not a good look to be making money while other smaller creators are making less money. It's some of the weirdest stuff I've seen around, and this is all in the comic book industry. And I think Jim Zub gives us a little eye into what is going on. Keep in mind here too, side note, Jim Zub disagrees with me drastically. The thing is, I don't really think that we do. I think he's got his head on his shoulders. It's just politically speaking, you're supposed to hate me and my kind. So that's how it goes down. All right. So Jim Zub says, I hear way too many freelancers being darkly sarcastic about working until they're dead. I get the sentiment, but you should still do some planning. Creatively, I want to write for a good long time and probably won't stop. But financially, I want to have options. Yeah, not only this, but there's the total embrace of poverty. There's a vow of poverty when you work into comics. And I've gotten this advice so many times. People will say, if you want to work in comics, just do it because you like comics. Don't do it for money. But at some point, you're going to need some money. You can't just live off of nothing. You got to have something. All right. Uh, so what do in that case? You got to change your mindset. You got to change the way that you think about this kind of stuff. That'll make a huge difference. All right. So Jim continues. People romanticize the starving artist, but it's BS. It's way easier to be consistently creative when you have stability now and into the future. That's a huge reason why so many of us have struggled with productivity during this pandemic. The uncertainty eats away at us. Um, and I would even say, I don't know, everyone there's always uncertainty. I don't know why you would plan on your books always doing better, or always, always having work at Marvel or DC, always, the next thing is down the road. That's never been how it is. Anybody that you talk that's working in comics has gotten out of comics at some point. They've fallen out of favor. They become unstylish. Uh, Things change. So you got to plan for that it's going to change. Um, all right. The starving artist thing is kind of ridiculous. And again, I'll hear people say that you should only work in comics for the sake of working in comics because you love comics. That's only half true. I think that working in comics, because it's such a pain in the butt sometimes, because it is so difficult and so many people want to do it, you have to love it. But you also have to make it make sense for you. Uh, there's, you know, John Tyler Christopher. I talked with him at a convention. He's a cover artist. He's such a good cover artist. But the cool thing with talking with him is that he said when he would hear this phrase starving artist, and he'd hear people tell him that you're not going to make money in comics, he looked at that and he said, nope, I'm going to make money in comics. And so he found ways to get more work done, to get better work done, to sell books. And he was the guy that came up with the variant covers that looked like they were old action figures. A lot of the Star Wars books where it looks like there's a little action figure, on the, I don't know what they call it, the cardboard flat thing and the plastic over the top. It's an interesting idea, but those covers sold really well. And he told me that made him a lot of money. And it wasn't directly related with how much work he put in. It was directly related with how he found something that would sell. And if you're going to make the boss more money, you're going to make more money. You're going to be more valued. I think his way of thinking about all of this is just a lot smarter. It makes a lot more sense. And yeah. So I like that. Anyway, so Jim's Up has a blog where he goes over finances. Apparently, this is some freelancer tax stuff. I'm not going to bore you with taxes, but he also has stuff on getting published through Image Comics and how much money you make or don't make. And in his case, for that whole series that he did, was Skull Kicker, something like that. He didn't make any money. He made enough money to continue. It took him years to break even. That's what he said. Now, if you're new into comics and you're not an industry veteran, I think it's okay to make a book for the sake of making a book. Make a couple books for the sake of making a couple books. You have to take one for the team at some point where you got to consider it kind of like your internship. You're learning, you're getting something published. All right, beyond that, at some point, you're going to need to do it for more than just the exercise of doing it. You're going to have to do it because you see a future there. You have a pathway forward. You're going to have to do it because you're making some money, because nobody can survive without money. The last point I want to make is in any other industry, anywhere, any job that you have, if you're not making ends meet or if you're not making enough money in order to put away some savings for retirement or get out of debt, it's kind of expected that you get a part-time job. Like you get a second job, you get extra income, and that'll help you get ahead. That'll help you dig yourself out of the hole. The strange thing is that in comics specifically, because so many people have the dream of doing comics exclusively full time, uh, if you've been living that life doing comics full time exclusively, then it becomes all of a sudden very difficult to swallow the pill that you might need to also deliver pizzas. You might need to do something else to get enough money. Why is it this way? It's because there's this weird romanticized element in comics that you're going to be hungry, you're going to be poor, but at least you're making art. You're going to be making better art, I would argue, and you're going to be making it for a longer period of time, and then we won't see these sad posts about an inker that has been around for years that can't afford a glaucoma treatment. All of that is not going to be a problem if you make sure that your finances are taken care of. Okay, there's nothing wrong with making money, and there's nothing wrong with making art and making money. However, you got to do that at the same time. I want to know what you think about all of this. Honestly, this is a huge problem in comics. A lot of people are noticing it. Even some SJW writers in comics are noticing this. So I want to hear what your thoughts are in the comments below. Check out Fatal. We passed $45,000. The link is in the description below, and we're trying to make this campaign the best that it can possibly be. We're going to make the book even better if we can reach this stretch goal. The stretch goal after we hit 50,000 is going to be even better. So help us get there. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.